Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about rules for not writing crappy code. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, what are your rules as a software engineer or a programmer on how to not write crappy code? Well, that is going to be a tricky thing because I don't think that it's probably impossible for you to never write any crappy code. You're going to write crappy code, but I'll give you the rules that I try to follow that at least has helped me improve my coding and the code that I work on, because it's not just about you, which is one of the reasons why I believe that, well, I have one rule that touches on that, and I think it's a very important one. But let's start with the first and foremost thing. My number one rule, if there is such a thing, for not writing crappy code is going to be keep it simple, stupid. It's a simple rule, but it is the most important rule that I have. And the reason why I say so is because the number one reason for code to rot or to become a problem is when you are either trying to make it into something that it's not supposed to be, or you're indulging yourself in trying to push for something that is just not value building. One of my favorite inventions that kind of illustrates the contrast of the thing that I'm trying to avoid here, because the thing I'm trying to avoid by keeping things simple is to create a situation where my code is actually more about my code and my own mental satisfaction than it is about the results that it brings. And that is a very serious problem that we have today. If you want to look at an extreme example, you can look at the JavaScript community. There are more libraries and ways of doing things in JavaScript than you could possibly learn. And not all of them are actually going to be all that useful. We are creating more advanced solutions to fairly, in some cases, very basic problems. But those more advanced solutions in turn have limitations, and so now we need to add another layer on top of those solutions in order to bridge the problems that we now have created. And the invention that I really like to remember when I get to that point is the elevator. Now, the elevator is a beautiful, simple solution. It's a simple invention that we've had for I don't know how many years. It's a very ancient idea, and it has, of course, seen some improvements over the century or over time, but it has never gotten to the point where we are trying to create elevators that are so sophisticated that they actually stop producing that base value. Most of the designs that we use in modern day elevators are fairly old. We haven't needed to innovate this invention all that much, and I think that that is a beautiful thing. I'm saying that I think that it's better for us when we write software to really, as I like to say, be problem oriented. Look at the problem that you are solving and try to solve it in the simplest way possible. Don't try to and focus on that problem. Don't try to solve all these tiny little outlier type of nice to have issues that might be around the problem. Start by focusing on the meat of the problem. Get that sorted, and when that is really solid and sorted, allow a new problem to manifest itself and fix that. Because the thing is, a lot of us have this idea that there is such a thing as a perfect solution, and sure, that we should continuously try to make things better, but at some point we are trying to solve problems that they don't really cause any issues. They are problems, as I like to call them, problems of the mind, or subjective problems, things that, sure, we can add these tiny little fluctuations of solutions here and there so people can kind of pick and choose how they want to solve these minor problems, but the most important thing is that we have a solid solution to the underlying problem, the thing that is really, as I said, the meat of it all. And that is where you should focus. Keep that solution as simple and sustainable as possible. Invent an elevator. Don't invent a super elevator or something like that. Build the thing that is right for the problem. Second rule that I have is include your coworkers at all times whenever you're making any type of major decision. uh, always knowledge share. Knowledge sharing is the best and I think the most foremost way for you to keep away from writing crappy code. If you include your coworkers either through a code review or something like that, I have a practice that I really like to do, which is to start by making it a rule that whenever I'm making a decision where I know that this is up for conversation, it's up for discussion how I should solve this problem, I don't talk to my coworkers or I rubber duck with them for every little function I write or every little variable I'm going to allocate. I ask them, I'm going to solve this problem here. And I'm thinking that this is the way I want to solve this problem. I have a design in mind and I have a concept of what I want to do. And there's a few other patterns here that I could be using. I know that they will have an opinion on the work that I am now going to start doing. So instead of waiting until the end of my work, I simply ask them up front. Because if I have the conversation immediately, I know that they might come with input that changes my perspective, or they might have problems with my solution, or I might have missed something. And by just including them, I actually improve the chances that I will write the right code on the first try. And the second thing that is really nice is that I completely avoid that they will come with late stage input that might force me into a bad position where I might have to redo the whole thing, or I need to hack it together in some way because now I have spent so much time on it that I can't really redo all the work. And by just having that communication, all of that is possible. And this is one of my core principles in the way that I structure my own software team. Whenever I find myself in the tech lead position, I focus almost exclusively on building comfort between myself and my teammates. That is the only thing that I truly care about. That's the first and foremost thing, for this exact reason, because I truly believe that if you have a group of people, they don't have to be the same person. They don't have to, like, it's not about creating a perfect harmony of people. It's about creating connections between these people so that they feel that even if we don't always agree on something, I can always trust that this is a safe place. Nobody's gonna kill me over my ideas. Everybody's going to listen at the very least and respect me enough to hear me out before judging me and things like that. I believe my favorite example is any of these sorts of movies you've seen where it's the Band of Brothers series or things like that, where they get so intimate in their communication that they can achieve almost anything. And by doing that, the software will, I promise you, it will be a reflection in the software. If there's one thing you can truly do to make your entire code base flourish, it is to create a strong functioning high performance software team through this process. Third and lastly, in terms of rules, I will say that the last rule I have is to treat features with the respect that they deserve. And what I mean by that is basically that there are some features that are more important than others. And that means that if you're dealing with a feature, which I like to call them backbone features, you really need to do your due diligence. You don't have, I like to say that there are features that are nice to have, or there are features that are fairly isolated. You can absolutely go for speed for them. You don't have to ship a perfect thing. That's perfectly fine. Just as long as you get the thing out of the door, everybody's happy. But then there are certain backbone features where you really need to do, say, test-driven development, or you need to do your due diligence and really research the thing and so forth. And by learning what code will stick around for a long time and what code is kind of wishy-washy, it's kind of one-off type of stuff, and really figuring out where to place your bets on quality process and quality attention, and like focus where you should put your energy. When you can figure that out, your code will be so much nicer. It's never going to be perfect, but it's a very big difference between having someone who treats a really important backbone feature that lies as a bottom layer to a bunch of other stuff. If you get that wrong, it rots everything. So you need to be able to make the right decision regardless of what it is. And being strong enough to make those decisions comes down to knowing where the real pain points are. Because if you have a good solution as the bottom layer, everything else is going to move much smoother. But if that is a bad solution, nothing else you do will matter, because that's where your problem lies. So what I want you to take away from this is my 3 rules in general terms is going to be: number 1, keep it simple, stupid. Try to focus on solving be problem oriented. Focus on the meat of the problem that you're dealing with. This 80%. You don't put energy into figuring out the 20%, the tiny issues that might be left after you fix the main thing. Focus on making a really good solution for the main problem. Number 2, make sure that you're communicating with your coworkers and your teammates and so forth. Knowledge sharing and writing code that is simple for everybody to understand, and where people are aware of the solutions that you are creating, will make the whole process much easier. Because I can promise you this: if you are a genius sitting by yourself writing really advanced stuff, and then somebody else is going to go and take over, the odds are that they will actually mess it up. It might not be you who mess it up, but that doesn't really matter. The code is still going to get messed up. So by talking to people, you reduce the risk of that happening. Third and lastly, make sure that you are good at identifying, as I like to call them, backbone features. Put your energy into the things that really matter. Don't try to make everything perfect because you can. Always be willing to look at stuff that is really important and go, yeah, we're gonna have to either redo this, or we're gonna have to put some energy into fixing this. Put your energy where it will make the biggest difference, and accept that there is no such thing as perfection. Have a great day.